Hello and welcome, guys. We are finally here, episode 13 of FletchDota, July 10th, 2014. Another exciting day of TI4 group stages that hasn't quite come to completion. I did have to downvote that last song that was playing. What in the world was that? My Lindsay Sterling Radio Pandora has been so faithful for me the past few months now, and then all of a sudden it started playing these random songs. And I don't understand why Pandora is doing this. I haven't asked for new songs. I've enjoyed the ones that's been thrown in there. And it's just like, hey, let's just push the envelope a little further. Let's see if we can just tick him off. Well, you're certainly doing that, Pandora. I'm going to have to find another station to listen to at this rate. I did, of course, for all of you guys wondering what it looks like, I told you guys I would take a print screen of my monitor that I've got all my stack on there. I did throw that into the chat here right before the beginning of the show. So if you missed that, maybe I'll throw it out there later, just for kicks. Maybe I'll get that to you guys. If you really have to see it, you could always send me a message on one of the many ways to contact me. You know, Twitter, Twitch, Gmail. I don't know if there's any other ways. I mean, there are other ways, but I don't give them out exactly. You know, I don't hand out my Skype anymore. I used to be a little bit more liberal with handing out my Skype, but not so much anymore. I think people try to abuse that privilege. So I just only give out Skype on a need to know basis because I can't keep track of who people are. That's really the sad fact of it, especially with Steam. Steam's the worst. You add people on Steam, and I still do it, and I probably shouldn't. I probably should just clear out my Steam. But people change their name on Steam, and I never have any idea who they are. I tried to categorize them at one point, and it kind of helped where I could keep up with people that I was playing with versus people who were watching me versus people I was working with. But it's all lost now. It's way beyond hope. I probably have like 300 something friends because I just keep accepting people as they add me. Some of them are just item traders that spam me every now and then. I ignore them. Like, hey, hello, hey, hello. I want an item. And I tell them no. And then they just, okay, disappear for a while. Well, of course, we are in the TI4 group stages. Today is day 2. Or today's day 2, yeah, of the group. I guess I should call it Phase 2. Today is day 2 of Phase 2 of the playoffs of TI4. And then to start things off, we will talk about the obligatory prize pool amount for TI4, which is at $10.6 million today. We have hit that 50K benchmark that we need every single day. Tomorrow we want to hit 10.65 so we can be on track to hit that 11 million mark. And of course, you know, that's just the reason I picked 11 million. It's just a nice even million mark number that we can throw out there because, you know, people are like 10 million prize pool, 10 million prize pool. Well, now it'll be 11 million prize pool. It just sounds a little bit better, so I think we should hit that 11 million mark, and we're certainly on track to do it. So I'm hoping to see that by the time we get around to the main event. That should be by the 18th if we continue at the current pace. I believe we've got, what, today's the 10th, 8 more days. That should be $400,000 more dollars at $50,000 a day. So there you have it. $10.6 million in the prize pool. Now, on top of that, we're still not at first place being $5 million. I don't know the exact amount. I wonder if 11 million actually puts that at $5 million, but we are just under first place prize being $4.88 million. So right at 4.9. And then, of course, we'll get up to 5 million here pretty soon, I hope. You'd like to say 5 million going to the first place prize because that's the nice mark where everyone's like, oh, $1 million per player. And it doesn't exactly come out like that, but the people don't care about the facts. They care about the perception. And the perception with a $5 million first place is that there's 5 players, $5 million, $1 million a player, which is something that hasn't happened in Dota 2 before. It hasn't happened in esports before. $1 million, we've been there, done that. We haven't done $1 million per player. So pretty exciting getting up there near that 5 million mark. Aren't quite there, but maybe we can round up and do some number magic if anybody's an accountant out there and can squeeze a few extra dollars out. Just, you know, do something. I don't know. What do accountants do on their little programs on the computer that suddenly the money just flows out of their pockets? We can certainly hope for that for the prize pool for TI4. Now, along with that, of course, the current standings. Now, I was struggling yesterday. I mentioned it to you guys on stream. And Valve, being the amazing company they are, corrects things that they notice are wrong. I had to refresh the entire page yesterday to check the current standings. All you had to do was go to Dota2.com, click the watch tab, scroll down and click show current results. And then it would show you the current results, but that button would disappear. Today I clicked show current results and a new button appeared that says refresh current results. I no longer have to refresh the entire page to tell you the current standings. I actually had Team Liquid's Liquipedia, I think is what they call it. I had their Liquipedia with the tournament standings up so I could refresh a page without refreshing the whole Dota2.com page and getting the player to activate with me. Now I do want to pop over here and show you guys the nice little button. So right here in standings, refresh current results. And there's you a quick peek at the standings before I talk about them. But starting off today, looking at the current standings, there's a lot here that we were not expecting going into TI4, or at least I wasn't. Maybe one of you was expecting Vici to be the top team of China in the group stages. I certainly wasn't. Vici has been the shakiest Tier 1 Chinese team over the past probably 6 months to a year. And they were just indomitable for a certain period of time, and everyone's like, oh, Vici Gaming, Vici Gaming. And they just fell away. And I'm not too sure. I actually haven't watched a lot of the Vici games. I caught a little bit here and there. I've been trying to watch mostly EG and now Team Liquid as well. But I haven't really watched Vici, so I can't fully tell you what's going right for Vici right now. But they're doing something right because they're sitting number 1 position in the group stages, 6-1. Now with 7 games, that means they only have 8 games remaining. If they lose their remaining 8 games, let's just say they just lose everything else, and they finish up 6-9. Who can still beat them? Arrow can't get past them. There's still a few people that if they lost everything else, they could still drop down. So we can't say they're 100% in the clear yet at 6-1, but they're certainly in a very good position because they have to lose literally every other game to drop down below a lot of these teams right now. You've got Mousesports sitting at 2-6, Arrow sitting at 0-8. Now Arrow, I say this is unexpected because they haven't won a single game yet. And I wasn't expecting another MUFC from Southeast Asia after last year, but Southeast Asia has delivered us another MUFC at this point in time. Arrow, please win at least 1 game. Don't do the 0-15 the dream and go home. It's embarrassing. That's not, you don't bring people to TI4 to see them not even offer up competition for the other teams. That's bad for your team. It's bad for the tournament. So hopefully Arrow can struggle and provide a little bit of competition for somebody in this tournament. Right now, I think right before I started the show, I saw them going up against Mousesports, and it looked like Mousesports already had a hefty lead. And Mousesports is like second to last. You know, they're in that 15th spot, which kind of was expected by me. They've seemed like one of the weakest of the qualifier teams, the teams that won their qualifiers to come to TI4. Although, on that same note, I didn't expect Liquid to win the wild card and be tied for that number 2 position right now with IEG and Titan sitting ahead of DK. Liquid, over the past few days, who have they won against? They've won against DK, they've won against Newbie, they've won against EG. Like, since when is Liquid in the run for that number 1 position? But they are doing it. They are performing phenomenally. Of course, they've been picking up the lycanthrope and showing a different play style of Lycan than we've seen on any other team. We've seen Demon, or should I call him Pegasus, basically Jimmy, playing Lycan, and he's been playing him in that offlane, and they have been running him phenomenally. I've not seen Lycan played in this way before Liquid, and they are making him work in a way that teams are not used to. Teams are used to Lycan. They know how to deal with Lycan pickers. They don't know how to deal with Liquid at this point in time. And it reminds me of last year where it's like, this is something that I mentioned about the North American teams, Navi US and Liquid. They play exceptionally good Dota when they play their Dota. But sometimes during tournaments, these teams get distracted. And when they get distracted, they start trying to play everyone else's play styles. And when you see them start doing that, they start failing miserably. Liquid, most specifically, we saw them struggle in the qualifiers because of this. They started playing everyone else's playstyles off. They were running these aggressive tri lanes and dominating every game, and then they started swapping it up, and it was like, why? If it works, why fix it? And they never won a game after that. But here they are, they're running their Dota, and I hope they continue to do so clear into the main tournament. These guys are contenders right now. Now, how well they would fare in a best of 3 against Newbie or IG is still yet to be decided, and I believe... What was I watching? I was watching IG... I don't remember who I was watching right before I turned on the show. It's already left my mind looking at all the other statistics and other teams. But along with Liquid, we've got Titan sitting at 5-2. We've got IG sitting at 5-2. Vici sitting at 6-1 in that number 1 position. EG and DK tied for that 5th position right now at 5-3. Navi and Navi US both sitting at 4-3. Newbie is down to 4-4 with Cloud9. The leaders from yesterday are just barely hanging on to that 9th and 10th spot. They're both tied technically as number 9. But either one of these teams could move down. Alliance is now going up to 3-4. They are in firm position to move back up into top 10 and proceed on to the main tournament. Fnatic has lost a lot of steam. Something happened to them yesterday along the same lines of Liquid and Navi US, where I mentioned that when they stop playing their playstyle, they do poorly. What is Fnatic doing? They're not playing Fnatic Dota anymore. They're playing everybody else's Dota, and they're not good at everyone else's Dota. They're good at Fnatic Dota. They need to get back to Fnatic Dota. We do, of course, have a whole another day of group stages, I believe. It should be a full extra day. Or, what is it? How many more matches for everybody? Is it 8 more? It should be, I think, 5 more matches for every single team by the time we get done for today. Is that right? 3 days? 3 days of group stages? Sounds about right. 15 matches total because there are 16 teams and you can't play yourself. So you will play in 15 matches over the course of the full... Actually, it says 4 days. So I wonder if the 4th day has some of the matches. Maybe it's 4 matches a day for each team. And so then the 4th day we finish up everybody and maybe do some tiebreakers. I'll have to look into that in just a moment. But the big surprise right now, Empire, 2-5. Down there with Mouse Sports and just a little bit better than Arrow right now. That's not what I was expecting from Empire. And I think their spot has solidly been taken by Navi US. Which, I mean, since when do we have 3 North American teams that are solid tier 1 teams? This is a surprise to me. I thought all we had was EG. But we've got Liquid, we've got Navi US, and they are all stepping up their game. Now, something specific for that I want to throw out to you guys. Not Navi US. Team Liquid actually did something a little bit different than the other teams for their boot camp. And you actually can listen to them talk about it. Pegasus, aka Demon, does an interview with Join Dota. And he talks about it around the 3-minute mark or so, but you can watch the entire interview. It's about 7 minutes long. And Zoe's actually interviewing him about the entire process between TI and their boot camp. Very informative for how their boot camp went, where they didn't exactly just do like the other teams and, do Dota. They did boot camping as a professional team rather than a Dota team, if that makes sense to you guys. So it wasn't exactly Dota specific boot camp, and I'll let you hear it straight from him rather than me tell you everything, but they did more team building and those sorts of exercises and got together athletically, started to get fit, started to get in shape, eating right, and worked on their mentality and their physical fitness as well as their Dota gaming. And it is working out for them. Along with that, I still want to just keep pointing out that Bulba is doing a phenomenal job captaining Liquid. So Jimmy in the off lane and Bulba as the captain. This Liquid lineup is looking incredibly strong. Along with that interview from Jimmy, you can actually get Bulba's point of view. There's a interview that was actually put out today by Own Gamers, which is Cyborg Matt's affiliate website. And I'll throw that in the chat for you guys as well. But he talks about how they're doing at TI4, what he thinks about their performance, what he thinks about Demon, which is kind of funny, listening to him talk about Demon. Demon was actually right there beside him, and he's talking about Demon. But he also talks about how he denied the Aegis. For those of you who didn't see that, I think he did that against DK. he accidentally denied the Aegis in the Rosh pit. They did, of course, go on to win the game, but he thought he had lost his team the game, and he talks about that. So it's nice to kind of see the players as they are, as people, rather than just characters on a screen. So a little bit of information coming out from Liquid, while Liquid is performing as the top team right now. Well, not the top team, but 5-2 is very solid going into day 2. I talked about the North American teams that oftentimes you see them go into day 1 and perform really solid, and then they get into day 2 and taper off. Liquid hasn't tapered off yet. Navi US has a little bit. They look shaky today. Navi, of course, coming back strong on day 2. They're now solidly in the top 10, 4-3 at the current bracket. Let me go ahead and click refresh just to be sure I'm saying the most current thing. Yeah, still 4-3. And then, I mean, they're sitting right under Titan, EG, DK, Liquid, IG, and Vici. They only have to win a couple games to tie up with those. Newbie dropping 4 games today. Was it all today? They were undefeated yesterday, I think. So they've dropped all 4 today. Cloud9 as well. Both of these teams not having a good day too, and they've put themselves in the bottom of the top 10. They're going to have to go back over their lineups and what's going wrong if they expect to stay in this top 10, because Alliance is climbing back up. Alliance is now 3-4. They're waiting to go back up into the top. Along with that, let's see if I missed any upsets today. So, of course, Liquid crushed Fnatic today. Incredible play by Liquid in the Fnatic match. I definitely recommend watching that if you want to see some strong Liquid play. Titan winning over Newbie. We talked about Titan being pretty much, I mean, they were the only invite team from Southeast Asia. And so they had a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Hey, was Southeast Asia even worth it, or were you a pity invite? Titan is showing what they are made of. They are, I mean, this is why they're tied for 4th right now, 5-3. Really, really good standing going into day 3 to ensure that they're in the top 10 spot. IG won over EG today, which is important. These teams are both, they've faced off in ESL, and you had to wonder, has EG figured out how to deal with IG since ESL just the other weekend? IG's still on top of EG, so we will wait to see until the main event how EG is going to answer IG, but they certainly have to bring something out, because IG, Ferrari is playing out of his mind, guys. Now, on the topic of Ferrari, I saw him right before I got into this. It was IG versus Titan, I think is who they're playing, or they were playing right now. I saw Ferrari go mid on Faceless Void, if I'm not mistaken. I looked and he was playing Faceless Void, and I think he went mid. So all I could think of is this picture that gets thrown around all the time. And if you haven't seen this picture, it's about Faceless Void going mid. It's a guy, I don't know who the guy is. I really don't. But it's Faceless Void. He's got like, let's see how many pages. There's an article right here. Here we go. 2 pages of Faceless Void mid. Win. All he does is get Aghanims and Refresher, and he just makes 12 seconds. That's what it's called. I can create a team fight. 12 seconds of hard CC. Your face when Faceless Void goes mid. Everybody's rejoicing and crying. That's what I thought of when I saw Ferrari playing Faceless Void. Now, I can't confirm that he went mid, but I had to assume he did because it was Ferrari playing the Faceless Void. But I just thought of that picture, so I thought I'd throw that out there for you guys. But yeah, Ferrari on Faceless Void. IG, Ferrari is playing phenomenally. Chuan is playing phenomenally. Chuan's Mirana. How many arrows has he missed this entire tournament? I can probably count them on one hand. And that's in so many games. He is just on point with his skill shots right now. His Kunkka as well. And when you can draft a Kunkka and Mirana on a support and make it effective in the game, it means you open up a 4th core into your team. Because if you go ultra late game, this Mirana is going to start doing damage. Kunkka's going to start doing damage. You're not stuck with something like a Crystal Maiden that tapers off into the late game. You have this extra core, you have this extra carry potential that you can tap into. When everyone else gets 6 slotted, you say, okay, Chuan, it's your turn to farm. And he goes, okay, and he steps up in lane, and you can take the game an extra 20 minutes, and suddenly you've got 4 carries against their 3. And then the game's solidly in your advantage. So what he brings to IG is not to be underestimated. He is not just a support player. Now, of course, I don't want to downplay the rest of IG's team, but I just think those 2 players are on their game. They are playing better than I've ever seen them play before. As well in Series 11, we saw Na'Vi beat Cloud9. We talked about Cloud9 and how strong they were yesterday. This was an important game for Na'Vi. I specifically mentioned that Na'Vi needed to win over Cloud9 today to come back in to this tournament. If they continued losing like they were against a team that was sitting on top, they would struggle to stay in the top 10, but they won against Cloud9. Of course, in the next round, they did lose against Titan. But Titan is just... If you saw the Na'Vi Titan game, that was one of the most frustrating games of Dota I bet anybody has played in TI4 right now. It was 100% rat. I think there was maybe 23 kills. Maybe they had hit 30 by the end of like a 65 or 70 minute game. It was Naga Siren ratting. There was a 20-minute period in the middle of the game that Na'Vi could not pick up a single kill. How much more frustrating could it be that you go from the 25-minute mark and that's your last kill until 45 minutes and you pick off one hero? It was literally every time Na'Vi tried to initiate a team fight, Naga Siren would ulti, they'd TP everyone out, and then they'd go back to split pushing other lanes. Over and over and over again, and Titan just drug it out until they had solid advantage and they pushed the base. Na'Vi could not find a moment to push up in to Titan's base. They couldn't even get near Titan's base. So very well done by Na'Vi dragging it out as long as they did against insurmountable odds. I don't know what they could have done with their lineup against Titan. Alliance did win over Mouse Sports, Vici taking out Na'Vi US. Series 13, Liquid crushing Empire. Do I need to say anything more about Liquid, guys? Liquid, you want to watch the Liquid games at this point in the International 4. They are one of the top teams if performance is anything to mention. DK beat out Cloud9. So even though Cloud9 was undefeated yesterday, the teams they're playing against today are the top teams. It's not like they were just losing. I mean, they didn't lose to Arrow, guys. Let's be honest. So even though Cloud9 is losing today, they certainly have a chance to take a lot of games tomorrow. They did lose to DK today, though, and Na'Vi. Evil Geniuses beat Newbie. This is important for Evil Geniuses. Newbie, along with IG, the teams considered contesting that number 1 position for TI4. EG beat them, so that's really good for EG. They need to figure out how to deal with IG, though. That's something they haven't addressed yet. They've shown that they can deal with DK and deal with Newbie. They know how to deal with traditional Chinese Dota. But what they don't know how to deal with is this aggressive playstyle of IG, especially Ferrari. He is so aggressive as a mid player, and he's on heroes that you don't normally consider aggressive, like Ember Spirit. Oftentimes you expect to sit back and try and farm and get into his items. But you see Phase Boots on Ember Spirit and Ferrari's diving tier 2s in 4-man team fights by himself and killing people, and it's like, holy hell, what are you doing, Ferrari? But that's just Ferrari Dota. Along with that, let's see, I think I've just about caught up on the games we've had today. Liquid lost to LGD. This is important for LGD. They've been struggling in this tournament. Liquid's one of the top contenders right now, but they did lose to LGD. Mouse Sports lost to DK. Alliance beat out Empire. So Alliance, this is part of what they're doing to get back in the game. IG versus Na'Vi US is going on right now. Is that the one that Ferrari's playing Faceless Void in? That might be. If I click in progress, is it going to open up a stream or is it going to open up? I'm going to click it and see what happens. Oh no. Oh no, yeah, it opened up the stream. It didn't open up a scoreboard. No, I'm going to have to pause this as fast as possible. There we go. Paused it. Looks like it's actually already over. So let's go ahead and click refresh results and see who won that one. That one should be over. Where is it? IG Na'Vi US. It still says it's in progress, but the game should be over. And Vici versus Fnatic. Vici came out on top of Fnatic. We are waiting on Newbie to play Cloud9. This is very important for Cloud9 to establish that they are still in. It's important for Newbie as well. They're kind of tied. They were both undefeated yesterday. Whoever wins this is reestablishing their momentum to go back in the top 10. We've got Mouse Sports versus Arrow, EG versus Na'Vi. This is going to be a huge match, and it's in progress right now. Empire versus DK is also in progress. Alliance versus Na'Vi US. Liquid versus Cloud9 will be later. Titan versus IG. I want to see the Titan versus IG match, but I will probably still be casting while this goes on. So that is unfortunate for me, but fortunate for you guys. You guys should all skip out on me and watch IG versus Titan when it comes on. That's Series 16 Game 4, so be on the lookout for that. Newbie will be playing Vici later. This is another important game for Newbie. Arrow of Na'Vi US doesn't really matter, I'll be honest. I mean, Na'Vi US, they should just win that and make Arrow go home with no wins. Come on, Arrow. You got to beat Navi US. Navi and LGD will be playing Fnatic and Alliance. Alliance needs to win this, but Fnatic does as well. Both these teams right now need to work back up into the top 10. They are both struggling to stay in this tournament at all. You might have Alliance going home in the first round of eliminations, and they're the defending champions. That's not what you want to see in Dota. But that's where Alliance stands right now. They need to make some wins happen, and they've done it today. They need to continue doing it, though. They cannot let up their steam. Newbie will be playing Mouse Sports in the final round. Liquid versus Arrow, IG versus Empire, and Titan versus EG. Another important match for the same reason IG is important. EG will be facing off versus Titan. That will conclude matches for today. Getting into tomorrow, though, let's see what big matches we have, actually. Navi and Navi US. This will just be a friendly rivalry from the same organization. I don't think it's really... Well, if Navi US plays like they did on day one, they can certainly contest Navi. But Navi looks like they've warmed up and they're ready to play some Dota. So I don't know that Navi US actually stands a chance against Navi. Team DK will be taking on Vici. Important game for DK. And I guess Vici as well. IG and Fnatic. More important for Fnatic to win this than IG. But I expect IG goes into this with the advantage. Alliance LGD. Empire Cloud9 will be Series 20. Titan DK. Arrow Fnatic. EG Mouse Sports. Don't really care about that round at all other than the DK and Titan matchup. I think that's going to be a very intense matchup. DK looking to fight for that top 10 spot as well as Titan. And you want to see DK climb back to the top maybe 4. You expected DK to be in the top 4 at the end of these group stages, but that's not what they're in position to do right now. Series 21, Empire LGD, DK Navi US, IG Liquid. If Liquid wants to prove that they are really contending for the #1 spot, they need to take out IG. Otherwise, if they get crushed by it, they need to at least put a performance against IG. If they get crushed by IG like some of the teams have in this tournament, they'll be like, okay, Liquid, we've seen what you can do, but you're not going for the #1 spot. But that's going to be an important match to really see how Liquid's going to pan out in the rest of the tournament. Evil Geniuses will be taking on Vici. This will be another one that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the tournament for both of these teams. Vici, are you really contending for a #1 spot, or are you just #1 in group stages? As of right now, they're just #1 in group stages. Let's see them take on EG. Titan will be taking on Mouse Sports in Series 22. Newbie and Navi US. Liquid and Navi. Another important game for Liquid to really establish themselves as a solid team that, hey, they can play against everybody and take these games. And Alliance and Vici. Alliance has to win versus Vici, I think, to stay in this tournament. IG and LGD will be picking up in Series 23. Titan and Navi US. Navi and DK. Cloud9 and Alliance. Another huge game for Alliance. Tomorrow, Series 23 Game 4, so this is later on in the day. EG and Empire, Fnatic and Mouse Sports, Vici and Liquid. Liquid just has a rough day tomorrow. I feel sorry for Liquid. They just have one big team after the other. Newbie will be taking on Arrow. Cloud9 will be taking on IG in Series 25, and if Cloud9 wants to stay in the top 10, I think they have to win versus IG. They have to win versus Alliance as well, I believe. But definitely versus IG. Because the important thing about winning against IG is that IG is actually ranked above Cloud9. And you need to win against the teams above you to pull them down so that you can stay in the top 10. Yes, it's important to win against teams below you, but it's more important to win against teams above you so that the top doesn't get farther away. You don't want a team going undefeated. And right now, Vici is the one that's staying closest to that with only 1 loss so far. The important thing is nobody's been undefeated so far. Now, there is one team that's not won a single game, but hopefully they turn that around tomorrow. Now, Arrow will be playing Navi. Titan will be playing LGD. Newbie and DK. The clash of the Titans from China. DK versus Newbie Series 25. Everybody, it's kind of mixed. Do we enjoy seeing that, or is it going to be 75-minute Dota? It can go either way. So we'll have to wait and see what they pull out for this best-of-1 series between Newbie and DK. Now, Series 26, Navi US and Evil Geniuses. This could actually go Navi US's favor because these North American teams know each other so well. You oftentimes see, it's the same way with Navi. They would often lose to Power Rangers because the Ukrainians knew each other so well that they could draft against each other. Navi US has the potential to take down Evil Geniuses. I think we saw Liquid take down EG for the same reason. Liquid will be playing Alliance. This is very important for Alliance. Alliance has many important games tomorrow to continue getting back in the top 10. They can't stop today. LGD Mouse Sports, Newbie Empire, IG Navi will be in Series 27. This is huge for Navi. They have to beat IG, I think, in that final series of tomorrow. Cloud9 has to beat Vici as well in their final series. Does Cloud9 have a single unimportant game tomorrow? I don't think so. Not with all their losses today. Liquid and Titan will be playing it off, and Fnatic will be finishing up with Empire. Cloud9 has a rough day tomorrow, but that's because they had such a rough day today. If Cloud9 had performed better today, I think they wouldn't have such a challenging schedule tomorrow, because it would be like, oh, you can let 1 or 2 go. But right now they're sitting at 4-4. Newbie as well. Both of these teams need to continue winning, or Alliance and possibly Fnatic will overtake them in the score sheet. Arrow, I don't think Arrow can get back in top 10 at this point. Going 0-8, I don't think it's possible for Arrow to come back into TI. So I think they're guaranteed to go home. Along with the TI4 news, of course, the TI4 news page on Dota2.com, international news, has released a lot of more interviews. Man, Hotbit is just working his butt off, making sure to get to everybody that's out there right now. And we've got, let's see, who all did he talk to today? We've got Hani breaking down Fnatic's tumultuous plays or play style over the past day. So if you want to see what's going on with Fnatic, be sure to check out the Hani interview. Of course, the Boba one we talked about. We've got Koikwa and Hotbid talking. Owie 2000, Melk, Fear. All new interviews today done by Hotbid. And these interviews are like 10 to 20 minutes long, very in-depth, and also a little bit entertaining. There was actually a really good interview by Hotbid with Ice 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 and Black, Ars Art, Zai. There's the Ice 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 one. I think Extinct I mentioned yesterday. So yeah, Ice 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 was like 20 minutes long, but he was joking around with Ice 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 too. So it's pretty funny, pretty entertaining to watch. It's not just like a boring, what's your name? What do you play in Dota? No, it was actually interesting interviews. So pretty cool to listen to from Hotbit. He does a good job. I've enjoyed watching Hotbit interviews, and I've tried to watch most of them. I haven't been able to watch all of them, but there's so much stuff I'm trying to pack in to be able to tell you guys about. I don't actually need the Liquipedia article anymore, thanks to the recent update by Valve. I think I mentioned that for you guys. Although they do have a nice little grid that you can kind of see who's won against each other. And I think the big thing here... Actually, it's really hard to read that grid, so I'm not even going to try and read it. But yeah, I don't even need Liquid anymore. Now, along with TI4, some really cool things have come out for you, those of you who love stats. There's a few people who've put out some stats articles. K-Poptosis, most of you guys know who K-Poptosis is. He's a pretty big stats guy as stats go. He's actually the one that makes the little thing pop out on the side of the screen. I think for Beyond the Summit. Is it Beyond the Summit or is it one of the other studios? I think it's Beyond the Summit that he does. I'm pretty sure. 99% certain. There you go, a statistic for you stats fans out there. 99% sure K-Poptosis is with Beyond the Summit. He put out a thing today about the top stats coming out from wildcard data and I think day 1 of the group stages. So most relevant heroes, Brewmaster, number 1, 98% pick ban rate, followed by Lycan with 93%, Doom 91, Razor 88, Tidehunter 81, and Batrider at 62. Most picked heroes, Razor come in at number 1, most picked for 23 picks. Most banned, Lycan, number 1 with 30 bans, tied with Brewmaster actually, 30 bans between the two of them. Most successful hero is Alchemist right now with an 80% win rate, followed by Enigma, Brewmaster, Lycan, Wraith King, and Skywrath Mage. Least successful heroes. Number 1 least successful hero is actually Lich right now, followed by Treant Protector. And I think people would be surprised by this because Treant Protector has been one of the most popular bans leading into TI4, but teams are no longer worried about Treant. Now Faceless Void is actually number 3 and least successful with a 31% win rate, followed by Earthshaker, Bane, and Morphling. Now you might say Earthshaker because today we actually saw Liquid play a mid shaker on Koikwa, and he did it absolutely outstanding job on that mid shaker. I think he had perfect plays the entire game, perfect initiations, did exactly what he needed to, and he made mid shaker come back into Dota. So great job by Koikwa, but Earthshaker as a whole has been running that support position, and I think it's in large part because he's not able to join the team fight soon enough with his ultimate. And so then by the time he's able to get his ultimate, it's really the teams are into the BKBs, and he just struggles getting back into the game. Along with that, I did mention the Ice 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 Hotbit interview. Just want to go ahead and show you I'll go ahead and link that one specifically. I mentioned it on Dota 2's site, but I do want to link that one specifically. I think he did a great job with Ice Ice Ice. Of course, I'm a big Ice 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 fan. If you look at my compendium, you will see Ice 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 marked as my favorite hero. So a little bit of bias there. Along with the Ice 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 interview, Dota.2p.com actually put out, there's a interview with Fnatic's Dota 2 manager talking about their win over DK and a few other things in Dota. It's only about 4 minutes long, so a little bit shorter interview. If 20-minute interviews aren't your thing, that's from Dota.2p.com, who I've been talking about quite a bit over the past few days. And I had something else from them. Where's my other thing from Dota.2p? Come on, Dota2p, where are you? I gotta check through all of my tabs. Here we go, Daily Dota 2. Nope, here we go, Skywrath Mage article. So they talked about a few different things, specifically with the metagame. They've really been analyzing the metagame, which is something the other sites haven't been doing, and that's why I've been liking to bring them up. They talked about Blink Dagger. They talked about seating order, even in lane events, who you sit next to so that you can communicate better. Things people don't normally talk about. They talked about Skywrath Mage, the second most picked hero at TI4 on day one. They specifically go over the history of Skywrath Mage, the changes in the different patches, going from 6.74, the base intelligence increase, up to 6.81b, where Ancient Seal damage amplification is increased from 36% at level 4 to 45%, most notably 18% at level 1 to 30% at level 1. This is a very big increase. 30% damage increase at level 1 is huge for a support spell. And they also go through the entire history of the hero, that he's only received buffs since he was implemented in 6.73 by Ice Frog. They talk about item choices for the hero, and they really analyze them in depth with some Dota statistics. So great article by Dota.2p.com for you statistic buffs. Again, we are just nailing the statistics as we go through today after only a single day of the group stages. Lots of statistics coming out though, and people love to read that kind of stuff. I know I like to look at it. I don't like to sit there and nitpick every single thing, but it's nice to see all the individual things. Now, something important today. I talked about it yesterday for those of you with poor bandwidth who aren't able to watch the TI4 streams but still want your TI4. There is an audio stream that's very low bit rate that you can listen to. It's basically radio. And now yesterday, they were only running the multi-stream. They were just running the multi-stream in audio. Today, DotaAudio.com has started running Stream 1 and Stream 2. They don't currently have the resources to run Stream 3 and 4 as well, but now they are running the multi-stream in Stream 1 and Stream 2. So if you want to watch a game on Stream 1 and Stream 2 or listen to it on the radio, you can't watch the stream, DotaAudio.com is running now 3 streams of TI4, and hopefully we can see them get to the full 5 streams. That's of course your end goal, and maybe they can get multiple languages for those of you who don't speak English fluently enough to listen to radio. So there it is, Dota Audio, as well as the text site, the live blog. Let me go ahead and refresh what their name is. Dota2world.org is the one running the text blog. The live text cast is what they're calling it. Yesterday, they were only able to run, I think, 2 casts at a time. Today, they are up to full 4. They are running 4. One for every single game is going to have a live blog for it. So if you needed a text cast for a game yesterday and you weren't able to get it, today they're going to have it for all 4 games, every single game. So be sure to check those out at Dota2world.org. For all you people who don't have quite the internet, of course, if you're watching me, you probably do have the internet to watch a Dota 2 stream. But maybe there's another circumstance. Maybe it's not internet related. You just want to listen to the audio while you're working and you don't want to use up your internet watching video. So there is, of course, DotaAudio.com where you can listen to the radio version. Along with that, guys, something I have been waiting for TI4 is finally happening. Seattle Times has put out an article about Dota 2, world's richest gaming tournament coming to Key Arena. And they go over the entire TI4 event, talk about the prize pool being $10.6 million, talk about how it's esports coming to pro sports. They have some art, they have some quotes from Valve, as well as some great pictures from all the different venues and what it means about the Seattle area. So we're finally getting exposure in real press. We're not in the esports press anymore. We're in the real press. The Seattle Times article, the reason this is important is because a lot of times in the Associated Press, when you see an article spread around the world, it starts in a local paper, gets picked up by the Associated Press, and distributed to every single paper worldwide. So the fact that we have a Seattle Times article coming out, which I'm assuming Seattle Times is an Associated Press member because they do use Associated Press articles and references, which means they should be accessible by other bigger papers that are more national papers. So we are now exposed in the Seattle Times. This is what we want. And maybe as we hit closer to 11 million, we'll get even more exposure. But Seattle Times article, if you want to really read that, there it is right there. seattletimes.com on their blog site, right for everyone to read. Along with that, I've noticed that IGN have started putting out a lot of Dota 2 information, and they've done an article today for July 10th, how to watch a Dota 2 match. And you might think, oh, I know how to watch Dota 2. But what you might not know how to do, and what this might bring to you, is how to talk to a friend and how to talk them through watching a Dota 2 match. And this is really cool because it breaks it down. The draft, laning phase, mid game, late game, and how the conclusion of a Dota 2 match happens. So it gives you kind of a clear viewpoint of what somebody who doesn't fully understand Dota should take away when they're looking into Dota, and it kind of gives you a framework if you're talking to a friend. So I think this is actually a good article to read right there. If you want to try and bring your friends into Dota that aren't exactly Dota experts or don't care about Dota, this kind of gives you can kind of set an outline of how to talk to them. Oh, we're in the early game. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Now we're in the mid game. It's the 10 to 15 minute mark. It's not exact. So you can nitpick the article, but it's a good way to talk to a new person in Dota and talk them through the game. So really good job by IGN, I think. And it's nice to see a Dota 2 article in IGN. IGN, of course, a very big gaming, I think International Gaming Network or something like that. But IGN, very large gaming website. And the fact that they're focusing on Dota 2 as this prize pool comes, again, it's about the exposure. It's not so much about the individual article. Along with that, I was talking about stats earlier, and I saw something amazing today. It's called dailydota2.com. They have taken the in-game stats that you can normally press Q, W, E, R, T, Y, all those little pop-outs at the side that you beg your casters to throw on the screen. Like, oh, we want to see the last hit. No, we want to see the net worth now. No, we want to see the gold graph. They have thrown that on your Twitch stream. They have given you a full Twitch stream with the chat and every single one of your graphs, from your last hits to your net worth, all of your scoreboards. It's all accessible on dailydota2.com. For example, here's the IG versus Navi US match, and there's you a quick example of what it looks like if you want to check it out. So really awesome site from dailydota2.com. If I understand, he just made it recently and it's in the works, and he's even got where you can select Dota 2 TI, the English, the Korean, the Russian, and what's ZH stand for? Chinese, I guess. Chinese stream. I don't know what ZH stands for, because I thought it was simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese was the two types of Chinese, but apparently there's ZH. Zhao Chinese. Patients from Zhao Chinese on dailydota2.com. But check those guys out, because I didn't know this was there. Of course, I use multi Twitch to do mine. I watch all 4 games at the same time, and when I see one that looks interesting, I unmute it and listen to the casters from it while I'm working on my stuff on the other screen. And then occasionally I open up the game in full screen, one of the games, and watch it in game. But mostly I just have multi-Twitch running all 4 games all day long. But this looks like a really cool site. If you want, I know so many times I've wanted to hit the button and I wasn't in game. I was actually watching it through Twitch, and I'm like, man, I wish I could hit the button to go ahead and drop the last hits down, and I couldn't do it. Now you can do it. Now you can see the gold graph and experience graph while you watch. So really awesome site. It's something that's needed to be done, and someone's finally done it. So there you go, guys. dailydota.com, and I think dailydota2.com, and I threw you guys the link already. On top of that, Raptor.com, for those of you who don't know who Raptor is, it's along the same lines as the, I blanked on the name. I totally just 100% blanked on what I was about to say. I make fun of it all the time, and now I can't even think of what it is. But it's one of those game optimizers that people use basically to make their game run in top condition. And really, you're just running an extra program because you can't go into options to set your options yourself or edit an INI file. It's not that difficult, guys. It's literally a text file that you just change some options in. But, ZH based on native Chinese language, Zhongwen, native name. All right. So there we go. That's what ZH stands for. But Raptor is one of those optimization programs. And you can basically play all your games through it. You can also shop through it. So it's kind of like Steam. It's got an overlay and everything. I think another equivalent to it would be the Origin client. But a lot of people use Raptor. They've got 23 million users, and they released their game numbers, the percentage of game time people using Raptor. Now, of course, this isn't going to be a sample size that is exactly representative of the whole, but it's still nice to see. And topping the charts, number one, of course, is right now League of Legends at 16.7%. Right underneath that, in the number 2 spot, is Dota 2. 8% of game time right now is spent playing Dota 2. And it's above World of Warcraft, it's above Counter-Strike Go, it's above Diablo 3, WildStar, Minecraft. These huge time sink games that you traditionally think about. Dota 2 is actually 2% more time used than World of Warcraft. Dota 2 actually moved up a spot to overtake World of Warcraft for Raptor in June 2014. I'm excited to see where Dota 2 moves in July, the July numbers for Raptor with TI4. So something to watch. Dota 2 has overtaken World of Warcraft in June, and maybe they can overtake League of Legends with the TI4. We'll have to wait and see. But it's just kind of interesting to see the numbers coming out. Dota 2 is moving up in numbers. It's not moving down. People are growing. We talked about the concurrent user. I think we hit 875,000 yesterday, concurrent Dota 2 players in the client yesterday. Maybe we can hit 1 million concurrent before TI4 is over. And one last thing, I had a community spotlight I did want to hit for you guys. Speaking of League of Legends and Dota 2, you guys have to watch this video. It's 2 minutes long. It's done by Eric Wright. And it's basically what happens if a League of Legends hero moves into an apartment with some Dota 2 heroes. Very funny video. Definitely worth the 2 minutes of your time. And great job by Eric Wright. I kind of need to check and see if he's got other videos out there. I don't know exactly what he does. I've never heard of the guy before, but I did stumble across his video today. And I don't want to actually play the video. But it looks like he does quite a few Dota 2 videos, so layman's Dota lore. So I'll have to watch some of those and get back to you guys. Maybe those are pretty funny. But lots of Dota 2 videos from Eric Wright. I'll certainly be watching those, and hopefully you guys will as well. Good job, Eric Wright, for giving us some original content to waste our time in throughout the day. As if we don't have enough time wasting happening with TI4 and 4 matches at once. It's like I feel overwhelmed with all the Dota coming out, and I'm trying to keep up with it all, but I can't grab everything. So I'm grabbing as much as I can to bring it to you guys. That's also why I try and do this show, because I know if I can't grab everything and I'm trying to, you guys don't even stand a chance when you are just trying to live your lives and enjoy your day. And so I try and condense as much as I can down into an hour or less for you guys. But that, of course, will be ending episode 13, or at least the news segment of it. As always, I will be doing the the viewer interaction segment of the show. We will be getting into a game of Dota with anybody who wants to join. Of course, you join the FletchDota channel inside of the Dota client. If you want to join, I'll invite you, and we will play on USD servers and just have a little bit of fun to kick off the night. And so I can talk to you guys. I like to get feedback from you guys, and I like to respond. Of course, there's other ways to interact with me, especially if you're watching on YouTube. You can always send me a message on Twitter. Tweet at me at FletchDota, twitter.com/FletchDota. That is my Twitter handle. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MasterFletch, to watch me live 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, weeknights. And that is, of course, Monday through Friday, for those of you unfamiliar with what a weeknight means. You can also email me, masterfletch@gmail.com. Questions, comments, and concerns. I love to hear from you guys. I've heard from a few of you on Twitter. I've heard from a few of you on Twitch messages. And the more feedback I can get, the better I can make this show. Of course, if you ever see anything that's interesting, I mentioned I am overwhelmed with all the Dota. I try and get as much of it as I can. But if you see something you think needs to be in the show, don't hesitate to send it to me. The worst that can happen is I'm like, hey, this is cool, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. I'm definitely going to look through whatever you send me. I'm not going to flame you or something for sending me something you think is cool. And never know, it might end up in the show. So definitely give it a shot if you catch something that you think needs to be added. And it won't hurt my feelings if you say, hey, you're doing this. I don't think you should do it. I think you should do this instead. Never hurts my feelings to get criticism. I do a lot of art, and the first thing you have to learn when you're doing art is criticism is going to hurt your feelings if you wear your feelings on your shoulder. So I have tough skin. I can take criticism. I love to get criticism. I get lots of feedback when I cast, and I try and implement it as fast as possible. I'd love to get the same thing for FletchDota. If any of you have feedback or comments that you think could help me out, feel free to throw them at me. And that's, of course, why I do the viewer interaction. That gives you a straight away. If you're not able to tweet at me or send me an email, you can talk to me in the chat if you're able to watch live. And while we're playing Dota, I'll talk to you and we can actually have a discourse rather than just a one-sided input that I maybe or maybe not respond to, depending on the time of day and whether it warrants response. Some stuff is just meant to be read. And oftentimes I can't say more than thanks for the compliment or thanks for the criticism. You know, I mean, what do you exactly say to a lot of the stuff people say to you in a message? But if you talk to me in the stream, I can actually talk to you live and you can respond straight away and we can get a little bit of discourse going and things get sorted out faster that way, I think. So that's why I try and keep the viewer interaction segment of the show every single day. As much as I want to go back to watching TI4, I made it a point to continue doing the Dota game afterwards. Now, of course, that will wrap up the news segment of the show, guys. Thank you all for watching. This has been episode 13 of FletchDota, July 10th, 2014, and I hope to see you all next time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.